All right, well, welcome everybody to Drone Wars Debrief. I'm your host, Patrick McCabe, and tonight I am very excited to introduce somebody who you all may know from episode 2 of Drone Wars, where he played the General. But he has been a fixture on the Boston independent film scene for many, many years. He's a writer, he's a producer, and an actor. And I think most notably, he is a special effects makeup artist specializing in the horror genre. So I'm really looking forward to talking with him about some of that stuff tonight. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to the show the one and only Billy Coyne. Billy, how's it going?
What up, dude? How's it going?
Good, good. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Drone Wars Debrief.
Oh yeah, buddy.
So first of all, how did you first become interested in special effects makeup?
I think, ever since I was little, I would watch Sesame Street, The Muppets. I mean, I became obsessed with the world of Jim Henson early. But, with characters like Kermit the Frog, I noticed the rods immediately in the arms. And I'm like, what's up with that? So I started questioning that when I was really young. But when it comes to um, animation, I mean, I loved cartoons, growing up. I really loved stop motion. And I remember like Gumby was syndicated at that point, kind of when I was really young. And so I fell in love with that. And I fell in love with small creatures and, stuff like gremlins and critters, and notably a lot of the works of Charlie Band, like the Puppet
And
Master series.
and so did you? And then is it something that you decided then to go to school for, or like how did you? I don't even know what is the training for that skill. Is it, do you serve like an apprenticeship, or did you go to school, or do you just kind of learn from doing? Like what's the path?
Well, I mean, I was always illustrating, up into my teens, but after high school, I really was interested in getting into the trade. And I discovered that Tom Savini had a special makeup effects program outside of Pittsburgh. And I found that in Fangoria magazine. And
And Tom Savini, for those who don't know, he is kind of a legend in that sort of in the special makeup effects world, right?
yeah, I mean, he was basically the father of Jason Voorhees. He, created the character. He redesigned Leatherface for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and really did some of the best uh, gore splatter films of the late 70s and early 80s, with working with George Romero, like on Dawn of the Dead, and, Tom Savini doing like, The Burning and The Prowler, just really excellent movies. And, when I was at this program, I really learned a foundation in, sculpting, mold making, painting. I mean, even though I do love the creatures, I definitely want to do more of that. So, even though I have a foundation and all this stuff, I'm planning on doing some creatures for like some photo shoots, coming up in 2025, which are serving as prototypes for something that I'm kind of itching to direct. It's kind of a passion project. I had it in my brain for many, many years. And
Is it a film project that you're talking about,
yeah,
or?
it's a film project. It's a killer toy movie, and it's very hell's a pop, and it's just nuts. It's almost like South Park meets demonic toys, and it's just it's something that I just want to. I've been wanting to tell this story for close to over 30 years now, and I already have some of the elements in place. I have production designs. I have creature designs. I have
Do you have a title that you have in mind, or is that still work in progress?
title in mind to give it away.
Are we going to break the news here exclusively on the Drone Wars Debrief?
I think if anything, I'm probably gonna have to give the backup title just in case, because I'm just gonna say
Backup's good.
um murderous marionettes.
I like it. Murderous marionettes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna give you the working title, but there is
Fair
actually
enough. Fair enough. I like it. It is a mouthful, but it's catchy.
yeah, and it's so there's that, and that I'm really pushing forward with, and like I have so many friggin' fake intestines down here from this film shoot. I made about 420 feet of fake intestines, you know, some fun gore effects for a production of Wicked Hollows, which I've been working on for a little over a year and a half,
Well,
especially.
that's it. That's probably a good segue. I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've worked on together in the past, and also some of the projects that you're working on now. And I know you mentioned the Wicked Hollows. That's the big one. I feel like you've been working on that for the last I don't know, at least few months that we've kind of been talking. Is there anything you can share about that project? I know maybe a little bit of information about what the film is and when it's expected to come out, and kind of what
Well,
your role on it was.
it's loosely inspired by the Bridgewater Triangle, which is Bridgewater, Massachusetts, where people have claimed to see,
Is this
UFO.
similar to the Bermuda Triangle?
Somewhat. And, the fact that, people get lost, it's like electromagnetic disturbance, kind of in different parts of the world, I guess, I don't know why people claim to have that all over the globe,
And
but,
is this an actual phenomenon that has sort of existed in, did you say, was it in Braintree?
no, Bridgewater, it's down on the south.
Bridgewater.
And I mean, but it's just it's interesting. I mean, there are so many different things people have claimed to seeing, in this concentrated area that where I mean, it's just you know, we're kind of doing our take on it. We're not really taking direct inspirations from what people have seen, and we're kind of making it our own. And it's a really, it's a story about genocide and revenge, and there's also, we have uh, apparitions and some really cool gore effects that I'm really proud of.
That's very cool. And is there anything, can you tell us anything about the story or the plot of the Wicked Hollows?
It's a troop of kids who lose a friend decide to kind of reconnect, and they go into the woods, and they just madness ensues. um People, almost like the forest can bring out the worst in you, because they're just kind of going into this area that just kind of messes with you. And and we see, apparitions. We almost like cannibalistic.
So it's kind of like a descent into madness kind of thing.
There is a descent into the madness, but there's also a creature element as well, where we have some primal cannibalistic, spirits. And we do have some other really cool effects that I've never done before that I'm extremely proud that we have tested, and that have been very successful. And
Well, I mean, I have to say, Billy, it sounds like it's right up your alley.
it really is. It's just something. I mean, this is a production I've been waiting for a long time that just kind of showcases many different facets of not just makeup effects, but producing and just kind of helping out in, the grand scheme of things for the production. And it's
Awesome. Well, I think, yeah, we'll definitely look forward to that. And that's written and directed by, is it written and directed by the same person?
yeah, Matthew Fisher. It's Boombastic Media. Or, you know, go to the Boombastic Media Network. That's where Maddie has all the different shows that we do. We have like the Decades of Dairy. We also do podcasts.
Very cool. And actually, that's probably a good time to mention the entrails that are hanging just to your left there. I think you had said that those were actually something you had created for that production. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I this took a few hundred hours worth of shop time. I mean, it's paper
I mean, it's
towel.
more than just that one piece of intestine, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, it really just, I mean, I have, see if I can just move slightly so you can kind of stay just a small idea
oh wow,
of what there is.
that is a lot of guts.
But keep in mind, that's just, these were, I mean, I measured all these, like, when we got there, when we came back, and
Well, can
yeah,
you can you talk a little bit about, like, so first of all, those look, I mean, incredibly realistic. I'm curious. if you not asking you to give away any of your trade secrets, but I'd love to just know a little bit about how you actually created that, because looking at it, I mean, the effect of it on camera, at least, is, I mean, very impressive. It
Yeah,
looks real. How did you actually build that or create those?
I got like almost $40 worth of dollar paper towels and took pantyhose, stuffed all of them in there. After it was all stuffed, I took elastic bands and I probably took close to probably 3,000 elastic bands. I mean, I know I got in past 2,500 and just kind of double knotted them. And then I painted them with, like, as you can see, I got zip ties here to basically kind of hold them up. But I painted them with perma paints, acrylic paints, just skin illustrator paints, just trying. And these things have been, filmed with already, so they kind of have like a bloody sheen to them. But you
And then
know,
did you at some? I mean, I assume then you can sort of dress them up with like fake blood or.
and we had about over 10 gallons of fake blood, for this day, and we were just goring everything up. And the cool thing is, I mean, we even got like roast beef, and certain foods that all organic. No one's eating it, so we can kind of hang it strategically in places, and wear, like, say, some more rubber band, or if something looks slightly unnatural, we can just cover that, with a piece of roast beef, or even take like a bloody paper towel and soak it and roll it up, and just kind of put it in segments, so it's just kind of drippy and has some added texture and weight to it.
And so, I mean, how many feet of those intestines did you actually create total?
425 feet.
Really? That's a lot. I assume that must have taken like hours and hours to make.
It took hundreds of hours. It definitely took almost. If I kind of crammed it all together, I would say it probably took at least a solid 4.5 to 5 months, and I've had like a little over a year window, um, over also creating, fake bodies, for, because I mean, we have this nice murder set piece at the end where someone walks into, and it's just a mess. It's just a gory, soaked mess. And so I'm really, really happy to see how that's going to look. And it's nice because when you have a big reveal at the end, I'm just, I don't want to say too much, but there's so many other elements that are going on, into it. But it's a nice visual representation that I've never done before, that I'm really excited about. And there's some other really cool makeup effects throughout the production.
Awesome. Well, my guest tonight is Billy Coyne. He is a special effects makeup artist, which we've just been hearing a lot more about. If you didn't know exactly what that was before, hopefully you're starting to get an idea after some of that. I mean, it's really interesting stuff. It's fascinating to hear how it all is actually like how the sausage is made, as it were. So, switching gears completely, I wanted to talk about another film that you worked on. You and I worked on together quite a number of years ago at this point. But it was an independent feature film written by Kevin Porter Young and directed by Andrew Fitzgerald, called Working It Out. I think you and I had worked on a few projects previous to this one, but this was sort of like our first, or at least my first kind of, I was going to say big budget, but really micro budget, but feature length film. And obviously with you coming from your special effects and horror makeup background, it was definitely a different type of film. Do you want to kind of tell our viewers like what that movie was about and kind of what your role was on it? Because it was a pretty crazy and fun experience from
Well, it's a
at
real
least from my
treat
perspective.
and definitely a fun experience. I consider it my New York Minute experience. And I love the fact that we went down to New York to film this thing. I know we filmed like in Battery Park, Hell's Kitchen, we kind of bounced around the city. And when I read the script, I mean, there's no creatures, there's no gore. I'm like, what the HE double hockey sticks am I getting myself into? What am I doing here? And I'm reading how these people are actually like working out, they're in a gym. So I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm going to be running around with the belt full of, all sorts of different waters, kind of running up to people, spritzing people down. And
I mean, the other funny thing about that movie is if you go back and watch it now, I think you appear in it maybe a dozen different times in the background. We were kind of limited in terms of the number of extras that we had available. So I feel like I know you're in the gym about 3 or 4 times. I think you're in, I believe you're the doctor in the psychiatric hospital in the last scene, but you're in it
I,
quite a
I
bit.
am in there. I think I was an orderly actually in the end. But yeah, I apparently was also a member at the gym, and I was also an orderly as well. So, you know, to kind of round out that character is just so funny because, here I am makeup effects. I mean, I don't look like I belong in a gym. I'm coming in Arctic camo pants,
Dressed
and
kind of like you are now, really, like in a high end Manhattan gym.
yeah, I mean, I look like a fish out of water. I get, fingerless gloves, sleeveless shirt, Arctic, camo, and I'm like walking to my locker, and then I'm in another scene where I'm playing an orderly, and I'm in at least, I want to say,
and
five.
just to explain a little bit about the plot, it's basically kind of an indie drama about a group of personal trainers, kind of 20 something or early 30s personal trainers in Manhattan. But it also has themes of like eating disorders and kind of, workout culture. And like, it's actually, there's a lot going on in the movie. But it's very much a kind of character based drama, I would say, as opposed to like a
Yeah,
special effects bonanza. But so yeah, just to give the
yeah.
viewers a little bit of context. I will actually, we have a clip. Maybe I'll just show a clip of working it out now, just to give you guys a flavor of what it was all about.
Sculpting a new body is like a work of art. It's gonna take time.
Yeah. Spare me the lecture. I like chocolate. Can you help me?
You sold me down the river.
You know Charles is out of town. So should we say 8 o'clock?
Nice. Well, I love you, whore.
You didn't know that.
Who is this guy?
Nobody. He's just a trainer at my gym.
Doesn't sound like your type.
I said, hey.
You look different. How's that?
I said, hey.
Seriously, why do you hang around with those people? They're idiots. Dustin, they're idiots. You hang around with them, you look like an idiot.
I said, hey.
What happened to you last night?
I said,
Guys, don't you think we're getting a little old for this shit? How's your day?
Surprising. There's a lot of things about you that I do not know.
I don't want to talk about it.
you know you made a mistake.
Look at me. I'm big, bro. Did you do this? Please give me an answer, yes or no.
At least now we know where you stand.
So that was working it out. Quite an experience, I think, for all those who worked on it.
It was definitely a fun experience. I mean, no matter how you cut it, it was a fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last movie I just wanted to talk about that we worked on many, many years ago was the first one that you and I worked on ever together. It was a short little film that I made basically fresh out of college called Swamp Love. And I put an ad out, and that was actually the tale. So the backstory there was that a friend of mine had what's called a ghillie suit, which is basically a camouflage outfit that like military snipers, I guess, would wear to make them sort of blend into the foliage background, or the sort of like trees and twigs and branches and bushes and all that kind of stuff. So it basically looks like, but when you put it on your head or you wear it, you look like a swamp creature. And so that was the genesis of the idea for the character of Bob Swamp, who was the protagonist of Swamp Love. But I had put an ad on Craigslist because, I certainly was not a special effects makeup artist or specialist. I didn't know much about it, and I knew I needed to call it an expert. And so I put an ad out, and little did I know that expert would turn out to be Billy. But I'm just curious, Billy, if you have any kind of recollections about that experience.
Well, the thing I remember the most about the week, Craigslist, this was years before the Craigslist killer. And people were kind of, posting like, needing crew and stuff like that. But with Bob Swamp and coming in, I was thinking of redesigning this thing straight out of the get-go, but I didn't know you had this suit. I wanted to make like a man thing creature.
I was like, I don't even know what any of that stuff is, but it
Yeah.
sounds great.
And you were like, yeah, it sounds great, but we don't have the budget for it. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I think that would have cost more than the entire budget of that film.
Oh no, it would have. It totally would have. Yeah, but we just talked about what you have, what we're going to work with, and we had another wonderful makeup artist come in who really helped kind of batten down the hatches on the look, and I kind of just with the progression of the makeup, Nikki did a beautiful job, and then I kind of kept the aesthetic to a certain degree throughout that, and then he was getting a little more textured towards the end. So when he goes back to the swamp, I always
let's actually, we can show that clip right now, the scene where he goes back into the swamp, and yeah, then maybe you can talk a little bit more about it.
I think it's a beautiful shot. I mean, I would put that on my reel. I mean, that's how much I love that shot. Go ahead and let you show it.
Here we go. The final scene from Swamp Love, a Bob Swamp adventure. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. It still tugs at the heartstrings even today. Well, I think at this point, the only thing left to talk about, Billy, is your most recent role, a very small role in episode 2, but memorable to say the least, where you were the general in Drone Wars. So, obviously I know how you came to be involved in Drone Wars, but maybe you could share that with our viewers, and we could maybe even talk a little bit about what they might be able to expect for the upcoming episode 3.
Well, it's pretty friggin' easy. The guy in the box right next to me called me and he said, "Hey, you want to be part in something?" And I've known the guy for years. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why the hell not?" And, it was fun just reconnecting because, I know we chat, off and on, through social media, but it's been great to just, film a little something. I love how we were able to do it kind of like this. And, I love that, the color of my place.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, that was kind of sort of how I had been thinking about it from the beginning, is finding like easy remote ways to film or produce as much of the content for Drone Wars as possible. And so that was actually like a good test case for it, because you were in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and I was at home in where I live in Connecticut, and it worked pretty well. I think I think I sent you a green screen, and then we realized that you were wearing a green shirt, and so that wasn't going to work. But we ended up just filming it against your wall in your bedroom or workshop or something.
It wasn't too dissimilar from the color that you see on these guts, because that's
right. Yeah, no, it was
my common space, and it just worked great. I mean, it looked like I'm high alert, just kind of
did. It really did. It actually, yeah, I think it was better than I think under perfect conditions, if we had filmed in front of a green screen and been able to like isolate the background and everything, that we could have done something different. But I think it totally worked the way we did it, and we did it in about 45 minutes, so it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I loved how we came together. We thumbnailed it out, figured it out, executed it, and it was just a good old fun time filming.
And it was a small role, the general, in episode 2, but I know we've been, and not to give too much away, but we've been talking a little bit about where Drone Wars is headed in the future, and particularly episode 3 and a little bit of episode 4. And I think it's fair to say the general is going to be a much bigger part in the coming episodes than he has been to date. So I know you've been thinking a little bit about kind of what that means for your character and how you develop him, but I think it's going to be exciting for people who are fans of the general, which I know we've gotten a huge response just from episode 2. So definitely exciting things on the horizon for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to see, from what we've been talking about, figuring out the direction, figuring out where to take this character, where to, kind of harden him, soften him, figure out an aesthetic that just works for the overall character of the general.
Because I think in episode 3, it's safe to say, I mean, you're not just going to be behind a video screen. We're going to go out into the actual world. And we don't want to give away exactly where we're going to be filming. We don't want to be mobbed by fans trying to see what's happening before the episode comes out. But suffice it to say, I think it's an underutilized location that is actually going to be perfect for what we're trying to achieve and the aesthetic that we're going for the overall Drone Wars vibe.
Yeah, I mean, from what you've shown me, I'm not going to disclose anything. I think it's a beautiful looking location. I am extremely happy at the fact that, figuring out when we're going to be doing this, and just from looking at the visuals and knowing when we are doing this, how epic, and cool. And, just, I guess you could say finally starting to take it outdoors a little, which I'm really happy about.
Absolutely. And, our ambition is continuing to grow. Episode 1 wasn't actually conceived as an episode of Drone Wars. That happened after the fact. And then episode 2, I think, was where we really started to get our legs under us. And, but hopefully episode 3 and beyond is where, the show really starts to take wings, no pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a real pleasure, Billy. Thank you so much for taking the time. We've been talking here with the one and only Billy Coyne, special effects makeup artist extraordinaire. And as I said, actor, writer, producer, and a longtime friend of mine. And so it's been so great, Billy. Thank you for hopping on.
I would like to just mention one more project.
Of course.
Mike, because, the crowdfunding lecture was just released a few days ago. I'm actually taking part where I'm going to be acting in a feature film called Our Man Funk. And I'm going to be playing kind of a vile street urchin character, a not very nice person, a person who apparently is just, let's say, not supposed to be intentionally nice by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm really looking forward to kind of playing something. And I've been growing my hair out for close to a year and a half now, and we're aiming for April, so it'll be a little longer. And doing some working out even more, like the movie, working it out.
Are you going to rewatch the movie for inspiration on workout routines?
Yeah, especially seeing me on the elliptical,
Awesome. Well, Billy, is there anywhere where people can find you if they want to get in touch with you for projects or work or anything like that you want to plug while you're here on the show?
Yeah, you can actually find me on Instagram at Mad Dr. C, all lowercase, all one word. And if you're interested in finding me on Facebook, which is where I am most of the time, or X or whatever the hell it's called now.
I think those are two different things. I think X is Twitter.
Yeah, no, so I'm on Facebook, and you can find me at Facebook/Billy Coyne, Coyne.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And for my part, I've been Patrick McCabe. If you enjoyed this podcast, or if you're a fan of Drone Wars or a fan of Billy, because hopefully we'll have him back on the show sometime soon, then definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and feel free to click a link on our merch shop in the description below. There's some really cool coffee mugs and t-shirts featuring the General and other Drone Wars characters. So very exciting stuff there. Billy, we'll talk about that after the show.
I'm learning about that right now. So yeah, we'll definitely.
Don't worry, I'm going to cut you in. We haven't sold any yet, but all right. Well, thank you so much, Billy. This has really been great. Really appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you soon, actually, when we film episode 3.
Look forward to it, buddy.
All right. Talk soon.
Talk soon.